I'm gonna be real with you guys. I totally forgot that Vaughn even existed. He's been out since last month, so all you need to know is that he was a free character that you can get to 5 stars right off the bat. The collab is already over, so you won't be able to get him until they eventually rerun it, but I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon, unfortunately. But no worries, he isn't a crazy character or anything like that. For the most part, he's alright. So his talent? After he deals damage, he applies a debuff or an effect called Chain Strikes to enemies for 2 turns that is stackable up to 3 times. And each time that the enemies do receive this effect, the duration is refreshed every time. When entering battle, for each stack of these, his stats is increased by a certain amount as well as being able to heal as damage dealt. Kinda wish the percent value was a bit higher, like 20% at least, as well as being able to apply it before battle. But you can't really complain too much. He's a free character after all. And the effect that he applies will really only be effective against enemies with lots of HP like bosses, so that he makes full use of it. Otherwise, if it's on any other enemy who can die pretty easily, it'll just be really inconsistent. For the Master Stones, for the armor you want HP, attack, and defense, the headwear HP, attack, and magic defense, weapon and accessory, HP, attack, and skill. And for whatever reason that you want to set up his Arena Stone, I don't know why you want to do this, since he's not really viable for PvP, I would just give him a defensive set that consists of HP, attack, defense if you want him to be physically tanky, or go with magic defense, whatever you prefer, and then crit down and crit damage down. Like I said, he's not really a viable option for PvP, since there are a lot better characters out there. His best soldiers to use are the Werewolf. That's about it. However, if you don't have these guys upgraded, then the best options to use are the Giant Lizard Rider. They can hit really hard, as well as the Gallant Duelist. Then you have the Phalanx for physical tankiness. The Elven Spear though can be an option as well. They have a really good mix of offensive and defensive stats. But for most cases though, I would just use the Werewolf. Fairly good at attacking, and they can survive pretty well. And the main part about them is that they have fixed amount of self-healing. So you're gonna be really enjoying using these guys the most. His best weapon to use is the Bone Crusher, which lowers the enemy's defense before battle, or you can use the Crystal Stinger. It boosts both crit and crit damage, and as long as your skill is higher than the enemy, you are able to ignore 20% of their defense. So you will be hitting quite hard if you're going to be using either one of these two. If not, then the Sealed Guardian is fine for now. Then for the armor, Bloodline to survive melee attacks, Aeolus for range attacks, or Forbidden Battle Armor, which covers both. It's an armor that everyone wants. Then for the helmet, Fury of Tyr for a skill increase. You can actually use the Vampire Helm. It has a 50% chance to decrease the enemy's defense when you end your turn within 2 blocks of them, which is nice with the way how his At the Gun skill works. But if you don't have that, then the Aeneas helmet will be fine for stats. Then for the accessory, you want Apex Boots for 1 extra mobility, the Winged Shin Guard for that defense increase when being attacked, or go with Overlord's Badge, so that he isn't missing out on too much self-healing if his attack gets lowered. But anything to boost his attack is fine. As for his best chance, Breeze, or you can do Meteor, which will let him hit really hard as long as your HP is above 60%. And I should mention this as well, I do have him in his demon class, which I will say that being a demon is fine for regular content since it doesn't really matter too much over there. But with his demon class, it does give him more extra stats, mainly for his attack though. So yeah, that's the reason why I have him in this demon class. Alright, so hopefully that helped you guys build Vaughn. I know I'm really late making a video on him, but hey, better late than never. And if you're really serious on building Vaughn, then this is a video for you. Nevertheless, if you're having trouble going through his first organ stage, then let's go ahead and walk through it together. Alright, for this one, you're going to be up against Angelica, Ricky, and then Bernhardt. So these are the skills that I'm going to be rocking with. His At the Gun skill, you're definitely going to want Air Slash so that you attack from 2 blocks, and then we're going to have Roar so that you lower their offensive stats. But you can use his Line AoE skill instead for chip damage, and that too will also lower their offensive stats. And I'm not sure, but it might also apply his talent stack as well. And the soldier that I'm using is going to be the Werewolf, but you can use the Giant Lizard Rider since you are going to be up against 2 enemies who are infantry. Okay, so Angelica will be pretty tough because she is really tanky, but all that she's going to be doing is attacking you with her AoEs. So as long as you can survive that, then she shouldn't be too much of an issue. And if she does use her summon, you can actually use that to gain more extra stats. It won't heal you, unfortunately, but if you really need that extra stats, then that will be really nice. With Ricky, you aren't going to be able to outlast his buffs since he will just keep on applying it. So all that you can do is just hopefully you're able to attack and survive. I am able to attack him right away, but for you guys, I'm going to act like I didn't get the breeze that I got, and I'm just going to wait until he gets closer. You do want to step away so that you are within 2 blocks away from him because he does have a 2 range attack. Ricky is really tanky, so if you are able to one-shot him, hopefully you guys are able to survive the next attack. And then on the next turn, if you have air slash, then just use that. You can attack from a safe distance, and then hopefully you're able to kill him, but if not, then just pray that you are able to survive the next attack. And then with Bernhardt, he's going to hit you really hard, combine that with his fixed damage. So I am going to use this Act Again skill to get himself a buff to ensure that we're able to one-shot him. I'm going to attack and pray, and there we go, one-shot Bernhardt. But yeah, there we go. The first 2 will be really hard. There's really nothing much you can really do. You aren't able to outrun them. So with Angelica, just hopefully you are able to kill her before she kills you. And then with Ricky, if you have trouble surviving, I would just go to the defensive tile on the left or right so that you are hopefully able to survive one of his attacks. But if you can get past him, then defeating Bernhardt should be no problem at all with all of the buffs that you got. Alright, so his Thxs. It has a 3-turn cooldown. The passive on this one, when entering battle with a active skill, if the enemy has 3 stacks of chain strikes, which is his talent effect, the skill cooldown on that skill will be decreased by 3 turns after battle, and has a 1-turn cooldown before it can be taken effect again. As for the skill itself, it applies 1 random debuff before battle, and if the target has 3 stacks of chain strike, then the skill does 40% increased damage. The skill is not bad. The passive really does remind you of Jintoki Thxs, which I will say that is completely busted. With this one, they really toned it down a bit, and with seeing how Vaughn can be a bit of a weird character, as long as he is attacking boss enemies or enemies with lots of HP, then he'll be hitting very hard every time. So at the same time, he's going to be really good against bosses and picking enemies off one by one, spamming his skills. So yeah, this 3C really gave him some justice. And if you guys are curious, this is his 3C animation right here. So yeah, this second awaken stage is the same as Elaine and Agnes, but I feel like this is going to be a little bit more easier. Since you do have Elaine and Agnes who are your NPC character that you can control, they're going to be your main source of damage if you are able to keep them alive. Vaughn barely will be able to do anything, but you can bring his AoE skill, which does let him guard. So you can use that so that you can have Vaughn tank for your teammates, because you're definitely going to be relying mostly on them. So yeah, this one should be more easier compared to the other 2. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into his showcase. Alright, so let's recap on his talent. Every time he deals damage, he applies Chain Strike to the enemy. That lasts for 2 turns and is stackable up to 3 times. And for every time they do receive it, the turn duration of that effect is refreshed. So every time he enters battle, for each stack of it that the enemy has, his stats are increased as well as recovering a certain amount of HP as damage dealt. So before we truly get into that, I want to talk about my least favorite skill in this kit, his unique AoE. So it attacks enemies in a straight line all the way up to 5 blocks. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it does reduce their offensive stats by 10% while applying taunt. So if they have it, if they physically attack any of his teammate within 3 blocks of him, Vaughn will guard them and take 20% less damage for 2 turns. The reason why it's my least favorite skill is that it's kinda unreliable. I feel like Vaughn is just better at being a attacker rather than being a tank. It really requires him to target enemies that are within reach, rather than compared to other tanks, they can just simply activate it. But what's really nice about it is that it does apply his talent stack, and you can see right here, it applies taunt. So only enemies with this debuff is where Vaughn can actually do his thing. So this Lancer right here, because he is a physical attacker, Vaughn would guard, but someone like Freya, this whole Freya attacks right here. Okay, letting go has, oh, wait, hold on. Oh, blood shield, this should, okay, good. Okay, so yeah, so he applies it when he was being attacked. Okay, Leanna attacks, but not gonna do a lot. And we have Freya right here, but Vaughn does not guard because he only guards physical attacks. So yeah, I'm just not a really big fan of this skill. It's too unreliable since he actually has to apply the effects on the enemy for him to do his thing. But I guess it could be nice for some purposes where you might need Vaughn to kinda tank for a little bit if you have to, but I hardly ever see that. And with Freyr having one stack of the talent, this should increase his Vaughn stats by 8%, as well as his healing. And so if he attacks afterwards, after battle, this should reapply the turn duration. So applied another stack, so that should increase a total of 16%. And you can see right here that there's 2 stacks of Chain Strike and the turn duration got reset to 2. It's pretty good. You guys want to see something dumb? You can see right here that Ledin is immune to all debuffs. And I have a feeling that you guys know where this is going. So if I try to use his AoE, this should apply the talent stack, right? Right? Well, it did apply it on Yulia, yeah, but on Ledin? Nah. Nah, that is unbelievable. But for this kind of stuff, it shouldn't matter too much since these guys die pretty quick. But I feel like against bosses, they usually won't have stuff like that. They're usually immune to certain types of debuff like mobility down, passive disable, usually the strong debuffs, not the unique kind. But still, I find this hilarious and dumb. And as for his other skills, well, I have a better place to show him off. Over here at the dragon stage, by taking a look at his 1C, there is one main problem about this that I really hate. So upon using this, it does give him boost and precaution, which is a passive skill. If you didn't know that, you are able to attack again and buffs on you do not lose their turn duration. So when you do use this, there's one main thing about it that is so problematic for me. After he uses it, look at this. He cannot move. And if we take a look at his skill, boost increases your attack by 7% when entering battle, as well as your defense being increased with precaution. Even with the mobility increase from Breeze, it still does not help. The reason why I have such a big problem about this one is that Vaughn already has a hard time moving around. So you would think that with the Act Again skill, it would help a little bit with that issue, but not with this one. It forces him to be stationary. But the buffs that it gives, I don't have much of an issue when I complained about it the first time I read it. It's kind of just whatever, since it's very unique. It's just him not being able to move again with this one is just the one big problem that I have. But it is still very good, despite that problem. His other unique skill is a single target, which allows him to attack twice. Then after battle, it applies 1 and 2 stacks of Chain Strike at random. I really like this one. It allows him to really set up his talent stack much more easier, and if you're really lucky to get that 2 stacks, you're already at that maximum value. But unfortunately, it only applied 1 extra stack. And then with this amazing 3C, the passive, as long as the enemy has 3 stacks of Chain Strike, this skill's cooldown is decreased by 3 after battle, and it has a 1-turn cooldown before it can take effect again. Before battle, applies 1 debuff to the target, and if the enemy has 3 stacks of Chain Strike, it does 40% increased damage, which is a lot by the way. And let's see how much damage that this really does. Okay, 59,000, that's not bad. The dragon does have a defense increase, but overall, not too bad. That was a lot. And his 3C did get refreshed, and since we did attack using an active skill, the passive took an effect and we have to wait 1 turn before we can make use of it again. But with that being the case, if you still haven't used his Act Again skill, you are able to take advantage of that by simply using the Act Again skill, but the turn duration did get cooled down. Then after that, you can use his 3C once more, dealing a lot more damage once again, and then you get your skill back. And that doesn't just apply to his 3C, but any other attacking skill as well. So I used this unique 2C skill, and the passive from his 3C did affect it. Mind you, it has to be whenever he initiates battle, using a attacking skill, so his AoE doesn't work. I really like it, because he can spam his skills all the time. So he's going to be constantly doing tons and tons of damage. So overall, Vaughn is pretty much built to be a boss slayer. He can easily spam his 3C for lots of damage, constantly doing lots of damage, as long as the enemies always has 3 stacks of his talent effect. And he has no issue with that. He can easily build them up, thanks to his unique single target one. And if you're lucky, maybe you can get to 3 stacks on the first turn of using that. His AoE is, okay. His Act Again is not entirely bad, but I really feel like that he should have been able to move at least 3 blocks afterward. I feel like for a character whose mobility is very limited, I feel like he kinda needs that. He's a free character, so you can't entirely expect a lot, but the only real complaint that I have with him is that he can't move again after using his Act Again skill. I don't know, maybe you guys might have a different opinion on that. Vaughn is gonna be really amazing for Ancient Beckoning or any other boss stages, since he is gonna be constantly dealing tons of damage since he is very spammy with his skill, as well as being able to stay really healthy. Kinda. That 10% healing is very little, but since Vaughn should be dealing tons of damage, he should still be able to heal quite a bit, and that's where he'll shine the most. Yeah, I don't know if there's really anything more that I can say about him. He can easily set up his stacks, and as long as you buff him up, he's going to be doing a lot towards that one enemy. Against any other enemy though, he's going to be really inconsistent if they're easily killable. So, there we go. That was Vaughn's showcase. In certain areas, I feel like Vaughn can outshine a few characters, but he's only mainly going to be useful in that one situation most of the time. Any other characters can do the same thing as him, but possibly better. Most of them can do better. Vaughn is just going to be that one type of character who just likes to focus on one enemy, but that's not to say that he's entirely useless. He can do his job very well. But the thing is just that he likes to be in one type of particular battle, and anywhere else that he's going to be in, other characters can do way much more. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Vaughn. Have you guys been using him? But yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.